So we are going to go ahead and get started. We have the pleasure and welcome on behalf of Plano Public Library and the City of Plano. We have the pleasure of having Esmeralda de la Cruz, who is going to present to you today from, she is the Economic Development Manager with the City of Plano. And she is going to present to you information about the latest small business grant program that is available through the CARES funding for the City of Plano. So Esmeralda, we're happy to have you and take it away.
Absolutely. Hi, I want to welcome everyone and thank you so much for your interest in the program here that we're going to go over. So I will be providing an overview, but I also want to take a peek into the application itself, an online application. So I'm going to run through those things. And of course, we have built a web page for the Plano CARES Small Business Grant Program. As you can see over my shoulder, www.planotexas.org. And there you'll be able to find the full details of the program guidelines, as well as an FAQ that might be able to help you answer additional questions. And then of course, you'll find the online application link there. So what we wanted to dive into right now is just a little bit of the background, which is that the City of Plano has received federal funds through the CARES Act, specifically through the Collin County. And so the city has set aside $5 million to be able to create this program. So last Monday, City Council was able to help us push the program through. And in fact, today is the very first day where we're actually accepting online applications. So timing is very critical for all our business owners who are small businesses interested in getting some financial assistance. So one of the things that you're probably curious about is the eligibility. So who is this program for? As I mentioned, it's small businesses, specifically those that have 100 or less employees. And that means all across locations. So if a business has 2 locations, you're looking at the combined employment numbers of 100, including the business owners themselves. And so anywhere, that is the threshold and below. In addition to that, the businesses would need to reside in Collin County. Again, remember the funds came through Collin County, so we're restricting the area to that specific geographic area and within the City of Plano city limits. You need to have had that business operating in both Plano and Collin County for the last 2 years. That is the minimum requirement as of the application date. So for example, you need to have had a certificate of occupancy as of June 2008 would be the earliest. That way you have that 2-year minimum that's required. In addition, of course, you need to show that there is economic hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we're looking at a threshold of 25% or more as far as gross revenue loss. And of course, you're wondering how much can I possibly get? So the grant request needs to be a minimum of $5,000 and a maximum of $25,000. So what determines that amount are the 2 specific reimbursement activities that we're looking at. So we're looking at either rent, mortgage, or lease of a business, specifically for the months of March 2020, April 2020, May 2020. In addition to utilities for those same 3 months. And when I say utilities, we're talking about electric, gas, cable, telephone. We're excluding the water, trash, any of those fees that come directly to the city. So it's very specific type of utilities that we may be able to assist with. So I just want to throw out a quick example. Say a business has $2,000 rent for those 3 months, and in addition, has $1,000 in utilities for those 3 months, that company or that business is actually looking at a potential request of about $9,000. And so that would meet the $5,000 minimum threshold and still below the $25,000. Just a quick note on duplication of benefits, because I have had this question over the past few days now. What that means is that your business would not necessarily be able to get the same benefit because this is federal funding, just like maybe another source that you might have applied for and received. So if you had a grant or a loan through the SBA that covered salary, you would be fine because we're only looking at rent and utilities. Now, if you have had an outside source to help you with rent, in that case, if you were to be selected, we would only be able to assist you with utilities for those 3 months. So that's a quick example, hoping to clarify that. So if you bear with me, I want to pull up a quick slide. That way you can kind of follow along with the process for the application itself. And here we go. We're going to jump right back in. So again, this is some of the information I had already gone over, a few bullet points on the eligibility for the applicants. Again, the guidelines themselves have more detail in them, so I highly encourage everyone to go back out to the website and take a look. So the process itself, again, the application deadline or application date started today. It will end Monday, June 22nd at midnight. So you want to make sure we have a tight time frame here. So you want to make sure to get your application in on time. So the very first step is the application. The very next step is the selection process. And in this case, we are looking at a lottery-based system because there's so much demand out there and we have limited funds. We are looking at randomly selecting applicant businesses to be able to start the eligibility review. Just a quick note, just because the business might have been selected does not automatically guarantee that there's funding there for them. We have to do our due diligence and take a look at all the documents and make sure everything's in order. So we're looking at potentially the week of June 29th to be able to start contacting all the applicants who have gone through the review process and everything's cleared out, to let them know that the grant amount that we've been able to come up with and start executing an agreement. So once that agreement is finished, then the city would potentially fund or disperse the funds within 30 days. So our whole process is to try to get the funds in the business's hands as soon as we can, because I know everyone is struggling right now. Now, part of the term agreement for the contract is that the business stays in operation for 90 days. And so therefore, all the applicants or businesses that have received funds for this program would then be asked to submit a 90-day certification indicating that, yes, the business has been functioning and operating for the past 3 months. So I want to, again, jump into the online application. This might be new to many of you. We're using a third-party vendor called Zoom Grants. When you go to our website, planotexas.org, you'll be able to see the online link that will take you to zoomgrants.com, and you will be asked to create an account. So you want to make sure to save your username, your password, just in case you need to come back and finish the application the next day, or maybe you're needing to do some quick edits or research on your end. So you want to make those adjustments prior to submitting it. Once you create your account, you would be able to see the CARES Small Grant Program under the Open Programs section, and you'll want to click Apply to get started. So I put a note in here in case anyone is having technical issues with Zoom Grants, again, the third-party vendor. You'll want to take a look at this website, help.zoomgrants.com, or give them a call to get immediate help with that. For program-specific questions, you'll want to contact me, but any of the technical issues with the website, you'll want to contact them. So let's jump into the preview. So once you get in, you'll have a couple of tabs here, if you can see this. The first tab is a summary. It's going to request basic information about you and your business. And then you'll be able to click a next button, and it'll take you to the pre-application. And then
Esmeralda, we're not seeing that screen. It's still on the one with open programs circled with CARES Small Business Grant.
Let me see if I can switch, I guess, the program that it's seeing. Give me 1 second. Let's try this now. Is that better?
That's it. Very good.
All right.
Although
Okay.
it would probably be helpful to zoom in a little bit if you're able, because it's hard to read the words on there. But people can see what the screen looks like.
Yes. Let's see if I have that capability here. Zoom in. How's that? Better?
Great. Thank you.
All right. So again, once you log in, you'll be able to see a summary tab, pre-application tab, application questions tab, other assistance, and documents. So as you run from tab to tab, it'll push you into the next one. So these are the following steps to be able to complete the entire application. Now, the program guidelines and the FAQs are linked right in here at your fingertips. So if you have to refer back to those two, you can quickly do that. So I'm just going to scroll down, try to get it doing slowly so it doesn't get anyone dizzy. So again, basic applicant information, organization, contact information. If there is a secondary owner, you'll want to fill out that information right here. If there is only one owner, if you can please just repeat the primary owner information, because these fields are required, and then you'll be able to click next. And as I mentioned before, it'll take you to the pre-application tab. So this tab is very, very important for all applicants, because this is going to help you self-identify if you are eligible or not. You know, as you run through the FAQs, hopefully you've been able to determine that. If not, then this will be able to assist you. Let's take the very first one, for example. Is your business located within City of Plano and within Collin County? You know, the answer here would be yes. That would make you eligible. But if it is no, it lets you know. If no, your business is not eligible for the program. And at that point, it's up to the applicant to stop the application and, you know, not continue on, because the business for this particular program, it's not eligible. So as you continue on, you just have a couple questions that really help you try to identify if you are eligible or not. You submit the pre-application and then be able to go on to the next tab. And this is where the bulk of the meat of the application is. You'll go run through it. I believe it's 21 questions, scroll all the way down and hit next. And, you know, questions like, when was the business established, the form of ownership, things of that nature. A little bit about, you know, your issues with the pandemic. You know, if your business is operating, is it normally, is it reduced hours, is it temporarily closed? So you continue on to the other assistance. So this is also very important for everyone to fill out. If you've already applied to, say, the SBA for a PPP, this is where you disclose that information. If you try to apply for any other source of information, this is where you place that information. You can show that it's pending or received or denied. If you have received the money, you'll use this column here to be able to let us know what you've received. And then the very last tab is actually all the items that you would need to upload. And this is critical, because this is what we're using to help review your application. So this has to be as complete as possible. This will help us, again, if you are selected in that lottery, we need to quickly process these applications, because we know businesses are struggling and needing money in their hands now. So if you put the effort up front here to make sure that it's complete and you are selected, it would be a much smoother process. So that is generally it. I know I've had a few questions already for people in the program. And you know, I'll be able to help with some basic things, but if you have technical issues, the other, the Zoom grants information, contact information is very vital for you to contact them, so you can quickly get right back in there and start filling it out or complete it. The only other thing I had was, I'm going back in here, I wanted to just flash this screen so that you can see my contact information and my phone number, that you can contact me with your questions, and again, the website in case you need that. And I'm open and available to open it up for any questions that Christine might have seen here.
So Esmeralda, is this particular grant program open to nonprofit organizations?
It is specifically for-profit. My apologies for not having clarified that.
Thank you. That is clear. It's only for-profit programs.
For-profit.
Thanks for the question. Other questions, you may type them into chat and Esmeralda can answer those right now so that you know the answer. Businesses that have no employees and only 2 owners, would they qualify?
Yes, that's fine. We have we don't have a minimum. We have a max.
Very good. Does that answer your question? You good with that? Okay, the grant only covers rent and utilities. That is what you had said. If they received another loan that does not cover rent and utilities, will they still qualify?
Yes, go ahead and apply. We want to make sure that we don't duplicate any funds. So if you've already received assistance with rent, we wouldn't be able to help you with that, but potentially utilities, as long as it reaches up to that $5,000 minimum.
Okay, and if they've received PPP, can they apply for this grant as well?
Yes, again, we just want to make sure we're not duplicating the assistance.
Right.
Here.
So basically, it's not going to be 2 different sources of funding for rent and utilities, but they get any other assistance they're getting is okay. So if they close down for 2 months during the shelter in place, does that cause the business to be ineligible?
No, in the application, the bulk of it, the application questions tab, you'll be able to see a question there that specifically asks, we want to know what the status is of the company. If you were forced to shut down or really just couldn't keep your doors open, that would be fine. You obviously still had that rent to pay during that time frame, and so that's what we're trying to assist with. You just have to make sure that you're in operation for the next 90 days. You want to make sure your doors can open up.
Okay, right, and that business is reopened already, so that's okay. So that someone is also asking whether this is actually a grant or whether this money has to be paid back, and if so, when would that begin?
Yes, this is a grant, and you just have to make sure, because the terms say you need to be in operation for 90 days. If you fail to do that, then there may be a clawback.
So you're saying 90 days after they receive the funding. The
Correct.
funding is for March, April, May utilities, and then they have to stay open 90 days after they receive funding, which would be sometime probably July. So 90 days after that.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Then is there a list of utilities that are covered? For instance, is internet access included?
Yes, I can repeat the list here. It's electric, gas, telephone, cable, internet provider. So those are the utilities we can cover. We cannot cover water, trash, drainage, anything that's basically paid back to the city. We wouldn't be able to assist with that.
Right, very good. Okay. So if one of these businesses was at reduced hours for a few months, but now currently back to normal hours, how do they best communicate that in the application, the status of their, business hours and things?
There is a question at the very bottom where it's open and allows you to describe your situation, how the pandemic has affected you. There is a question where you can help us understand your situation.
Very good. And then are you providing these funds only to businesses that are brick and mortar, or could they be online businesses or services?
Currently, the restriction is home-based businesses. They would not be allowed. If you are some sort of online provider, you need to be able to show that you're somehow headquartered in the city of Plano and within Collin County.
Okay. Another question. If we are required by law, because perhaps the pandemic worsens, for example, if they're required by law to close, will they be penalized and required to pay the grant back?
Oh, if the pandemic were to worsen, is that the question? and force
Yes,
it again.
right. If the law comes back in and states that this business must close, and they've received these funds now, and they've been required to stay open for 90 days, but then the government steps in and says, things are worse, we need you to close again.
So I would have to just refer back to our document just to make sure, but I mean, we understand that we're trying to help in this current situation where we have had been impacted by measures like that. And so I don't see really an issue, but you know, just to confirm, I can follow back up with you in your blog just to make sure that I'm not giving you incorrect information. But I mean, we're in this situation for those same measures that have put us in it. So I don't see
Right.
how we could potentially, you know,
Okay.
that would be an issue in the future.
Okay, and what if they were denied assistance by SBA because they had no employees, just 2 owners? So it's not, it's an owned business, but not a lot of employees. And then 3 months later, the SBA direct deposited $1,000 into the account.
So we would want to know what those funds are for.
Okay.
In the disclosure, the other assistance tab, that is where all the sources are placed there where you've applied. Even if you've been denied, we need to know that information, because if they were to come back around and somehow reopen it, or round 2, round 3, and we want to make sure that whatever grant monies you do receive, it's not duplicating, because we want to stay on top of that.
Okay, so I'm also receiving a question to just clarify related to a home business. If you have a home-based business where you operate out of a home office, then you are not allowed to, or you're disqualified for this as rental assistance.
Correct. For this particular.
Okay. And the utilities as well?
Correct.
Okay, so you are not qualified as a home-based business. Then a 1099 contract worker as a therapist, will they qualify for these funds?
So you would need to be able to show that you are either paying some sort of rent or lease, as well as utilities, because again, those are the 2 items that we are able to assist with.
And I believe some of the other funding, either through SBA or the PPP, did include contract workers.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if any of those funds are still available. Okay, any other questions? I hope I didn't miss any. I don't think I missed any that were typed in, but if anyone else has a question for Esmeralda, please type it in. We'd like to make sure that you get the answers that you need to make sure that you have. There's one more. Okay. What did I miss? Let's see. Oh, hold on. Okay. Is the grant required to be reported on end of year taxes?
Yes, part of the application will require a W-9. At the end of the year, we'll be sending out information for you for your taxes.
Okay. And then, yeah, I did ask about therapists. The therapist, let's see. 1099 contract worker, right. Only can qualify if they can show that they have a rent, some sort of rent or utility that they have to pay in order to do business, correct? Okay.
But I am available by phone and email if somehow we've missed one, or if another question comes up during the time that they're reviewing the guidelines and the FAQ, I am available to assist.
Okay, great. If there are no other questions, obviously you can contact Esmeralda by email or by phone with additional questions, but anything else that you have right now, I don't think we have any more. I'm not seeing any more come through. So you've done a nice job of covering the whole grant application. We appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Esmeralda. Thank you for all of those of you who tuned in, and thank you so much for your time, Esmeralda. And for those businesses who've joined us, thank you for attending today, and share the word with friends and colleagues.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.